Howdy folks, PhantomZwei here, the YouTube guy who does the Shoujo game video reviews. That's me. So, I just wanted to take a few minutes here and do a quick sort of video blog about a couple of things, not the least of which is a question I actually received from one of my viewers on my Morris Professor Cherry review. So, without further ado, let's take a look at that. This comes from Meyer Truck. He said, on another note, how do you feel about the possible new regulations placed on eroges in Japan? They basically take away almost all of the things that make visual novels generic and bad. I think it could potentially be the start of a more meaningful visual novel, like the stuff Type Moon and Key have produced, but on the other hand, it's a huge blow to the industry. Could the visual novel industry survive without the massive H content and fetishes? Now, for those of you who don't know, I took a little excerpt from visualnovels.net, which, thank you very much for the story. And basically, the bans would block almost all the fetishes and would restrict many, if not most, of the eroge on the market today. Euphemisms have and will be banned as well if this goes through, but the EOCS or other organization who is sort of putting this ban through has not made a public statement. Banned themes both in text form and image form include rape, loli, gang rape, assault, brutality, reverse rape, girl, which, shoujo, what? I don't get it. Adultery, good luck with that. Reverse assault, compulsion, gangbang, student council, which, that one, again, seems kind of weird to me. Bestiality, I get it. Bondage, coercion, trained molestation, injo kosai or prostitution, incest, torture, binding, pregnancy, violation, slaves, pregnant women, confinement, and conception. Now, let me start off by saying that I don't think that eroge is like inherently a terrible thing or, wrong or just, oh my god, what are we doing here? Which, I know I sort of tend to take a few jabs at it a lot of times in the, sex romp reviews that I tend to do, like a Morris Professor Cherry or Let's Meow Meow Say. But, it's sort of when it's used in those games that are just, like, all they are is glorified pornography, basically. When I know that this format has the potential to tell such great stories, as we've seen evidenced by, many other games, like, say, Kana Little Sister, which, if you take a look at this list, one of the themes listed is incest. While that's, spoiler alert here, but while it's not actually true in Kana, it isn't actually incestual, the theme sort of carrying in the game, the dude thinks that he is Kana's brother. So, I don't know, would that be restricted under this new policy? Because if so, Kana is a fantastic game, Kana Little Sister, but, it's powerful because of the themes it tackles, not because it's, part of a little sister fetish. So, I don't know. But, really I have mixed feelings on this, but, primarily, I just think it's bad, because I don't like, really censorship of any sort, but, this is to the extreme, because, you take a look at this list, and, all of these restrictions have been placed upon the Japanese eroge developers, all at once, just out of nowhere, total left field, and, all of a sudden one day, the way they've been doing things for years and years and years is just completely changed. Now as for what Meyerchart was saying about how, what do I think about what it will do to the Japanese eroge, sort of development, to the industry as a whole, the genre, and, he mentions that he thinks that it could sort of lead towards a more meaningful sort of storytelling experience. Now, in regards to that, I would like to think so, but at the same time, I doubt it. Because, there's so many development studios out there that, you know, what they do has nothing to do really with any kind of a great storytelling experience. It's okay, let's come up with these you know, sort of stereotypical characters. You know, it doesn't really matter how much depth they have, and just make attractive, you know, character designs. That's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, they're going to be losing their outfits anyway. I mean, now those studios, I don't think are suddenly going to have, you know, a great epiphany and just sort of totally shift, you know, the paradigm and, you know, do a complete 180 and suddenly start telling great stories. You know, there's a reason that they were sort of resorting to that. I think it's because, you know, they didn't have the ideas for it, I guess. It's as simple as I can say it. But you know, I mean, I guess a lot of it might be because they're putting out so many games, because I know that there are just, you know, tons and tons of games, you know, of that sort that get released in Japan. Now, I imagine there's going to sort of be a slowdown of that, because, you know, this was so much out of left field that, you know, all these regulations were placed. I can only imagine that it's going to slow things down a bit as they sort of try to recover and figure out what they can and can't do, and, you know, how is this going to constrict what they already had planned, and, you know, all these things. Now, you know, it's unfortunate, but, you know, as I mentioned, I think the studios are probably trying to figure out what's acceptable, and they're going to probably try to skirt the lines, you know, the very edge of what they can and can't do, which, you know, isn't unusual. Movies do that, other, you know, console games and such do that all the time. But, you know, they'll try to figure out what the boundary is and what they can get away with to try to sort of, you know, appease the fan base that they already have. But, you know, I think the end result of this, which is, you know, really, really unfortunate, is that a lot of people are probably going to lose their jobs over this. You know, not as, you know, a fault of theirs, but, I mean, I have to imagine that, you know, this sort of thing is going to probably cause some studios to fold, you know, particularly the smaller ones that, you know, didn't quite have, you know, like they got into this with the mentality, okay, I want to make Eroge titles. You know, they aren't in this for great storytelling. They know that there was a market for, you know, the type of game where, you know, girls, whatever, fancy costumes, and at the end of the day, bang, bang, bang. But, you know, say what you want to about, you know, these people, but either way, you hate to hear about anyone, you know, potentially losing their job.